The following program contains the views and opinions of the host, speakers, and participants. They do not reflect the policies of the producers, advisors, and advertisers of AU Paws Radio, including Adelphi University's Board of Trustees, administrative faculty, or its affiliates. Paws web radio station encourages freedom of speech, but does not endorse any specific viewpoints or messages. Listener discretion is advised, especially for potentially sensitive or controversial topics.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Earle Lab. This is your host, Hemish, a junior molecular neuroscience major. Hope everyone's having a great day. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about how we can better schedule our assignments and how we can actually have some time at the end of the day to maybe relax a little bit. I know, such a crazy idea. So obviously, if you have, let's say, 1 billion lab assignments, right? Physics, orgo, bio, and then you have all of your other lecture assignments on top of that. And then, if you need to study for a test coming up, it can be a little bit intimidating to try and find time in your schedule to manage all of these different workloads and find time to maybe relax a little bit when you're done. As I talked about in previous episodes, rest and sleep are very important for making sure that we can continue to study effectively and for making sure that we can continue to manage our assignments properly. So, what's one of the first steps that we can take in order to help us with completing our assignments in a timely manner, making sure that we don't miss any deadlines, but also making sure that we don't overwork ourselves, that we don't get burnt out, and that we can find time to hang out with friends, watch a movie, or maybe fit a nap or sleep a little bit earlier. So, my first bit of advice is to get a planner. This is a little bit basic, but I feel that a lot of people might want to try to remember all their assignments in their head because they think that, a planner might not be necessary, or they always have so much stuff, they don't have time to write it down. Writing it down is an extra waste of time, and so on. However, when you try, and this kind of goes back to episode 2 about memory, check that out if you haven't already. If you try to fit too many items, right, or things to remember in your working memory, your short-term memory, there's a limit to what your brain can hold. It's dependent on attention, but there's a limit. So trying to remember all these deadlines in your head, rather than just writing them down somewhere, will actually limit your ability to remember other things that you need for an assignment. Or maybe you're studying and you're trying to do an exam. Trying to remember all those deadlines will inhibit your ability to remember things for that exam. So don't take up space in your working memory for something that you can just jot down somewhere, forget about it, and then remind yourself later on. Invest in a planner. Take the time, either at the beginning or at the end of your day, or maybe after every lecture, to just write down what you need to do, what the due dates. And then going a little bit beyond that, for each assignment that you have written down, try to estimate how long it would take you to do, and then put time slots in your schedule. So this segues nicely into my next point. Use some sort of calendar app or some sort of reminder app on your phone. So let's say that you have lectures, right, from 9 to 5, just any time during that period. And then you get home or go back to your dorm room and you are unsure where to start, what you should do first. You're unsure if you're going to have time to relax later on. So when you get home, you just procrastinate for 3 to 4 hours. It's understandable. It happens even to me. Try your best. And this is something that you can really only do, I would say, maybe after like a week or 2 in the semester. Try to estimate, okay, let's say that I have an orgo lab notebook that I need to finish, right? So try to see, okay, maybe this will take me 1 hour because I have the data. I just have to write down the procedure, or I have the results, I just have to interpret them. Do your best to estimate the times for each assignment, and then try to put blocks in your schedule. Google Calendar is really great for this. So if you know that you want to hang out with your friends or watch a movie at 7 p.m. and you're done with lecture at 2 p.m., okay, let me get this assignment done from, let's say, 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. That way I have a little bit of time to relax when my lectures are done, and then I have a little bit of extra leeway, right, in my schedule in case I have to do something else or the assignment takes longer than expected. And then obviously you can set reminders if you aren't able to finish something to remind yourself to get back to it later. The gist basically is to automate everything that you can. So that way your memory is less burdened. There's less things in your short-term memory. You won't have to retrieve as much from your long-term memory. And putting this all together, right, trying to keep to a schedule is really critical for being able to find success in your assignments as a college student. Nowadays, I know a lot of college students have to vilify the 9 to 5 schedule, and for good reason, but there is a lot of value in keeping to not a strict, but some sort of formal and guided routine each and every day. I know that for me, if I don't have a routine, I'm just kind of like all over the place. Like I'm like, oh, I'm going to sit down and get some work done, and I scroll through Instagram for 2 hours, right? Or I'm going to go and get some work done, and no, I play like a video game or something, or I binge through a whole series. Trying to have some sort of routine so your body knows when is work time and when is rest time is really critical. You can kind of think of it, it's not exactly the same, but you can think of it as an extension of your circadian rhythm, right? When you feel awake, when you feel restful. Similarly, when you feel most motivated to get work done, when you feel least motivated, to get work done. Obviously, as with all things I've mentioned so far, this will depend on the person. Some people, like myself, feel more motivated to get work done at like late at night, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., maybe even 10 p.m. Some people can only really feel motivated in the early morning hours. So again, figure out what may be your best times to get work done and be motivated when you're less distracted, and then have these be the times where you put assignments into your schedule, into your Google Calendar. If you ever feel that you're a little bit overburdened with work, or you have so many assignments that there's just too much of you into your schedule, or you can't find any rest, then try your best to either obviously space out across days, but if you really can, try to sacrifice one day and dedicate that one day to just doing work straight. So that way for the remainder of the days of the week, you have time to rest, like ample time to rest, rather than just having like 5 or 10 minutes. So I kind of call this like a compromise day, where sometimes when you're like, if you're like at this point in the semester, right, late November, early December, you just simply cannot space everything the way how you want to. It's okay to sacrifice a day here or there, so the rest of your days you can feel restful and guided. And because you have these days set aside as these dedicated like grind days, right, like lock in, get that done, we're out of here, you can sort of prepare for it and hype yourself up ahead of time, so when you actually get to doing it, it's not as bad. And the last point that I want to end off on, it is extremely valuable to incorporate rest into your schedule. So after, let's say you're putting assignments into your Google Calendar and you're done with one assignment and it took like an hour, right? Let's say that Earle lab assignment took like an hour and a half. Don't jump straight into the next assignment if you can help it. Yes, you are in that like work mindset, but again, if you're not swamped with crazy deadlines, try to rest for 30, 20, maybe even 45 minutes. In the previous episode, I talked about how when you're trying to stay locked in while studying, you need breaks because you can't keep studying nonstop like a robot. Well, it's the same thing here. You can't keep doing assignments nonstop like a robot. You need your leisure time to sort of recollect your thoughts. And more importantly, prevent yourself from being burnt out, right? You do your best on any assignment when you're most motivated, and you can't be motivated without having some time to just chill out. So put like a 5 to 10 minute break in your schedule. And at the end of the day, absolutely try your best to set aside like an hour and a half so you can watch a movie, play a video game, talk with someone, hang out with someone. Trust me, it will make a world of difference. I know, especially for people who I guess are the more like academic, studious type, they just want to keep like grinding assignments nonstop, work. And maybe you can successfully do that at the beginning of the semester, but there comes a point like around midterms or just after midterms when finals are looming over the horizon, that you're feeling burnt out. And these are the moments in the semester where these assignments matter more, right? They're probably weighted more. They count more towards your average. This is when you really need to give it your all. And because students don't really give themselves break time, they just are too demotivated. They procrastinate a lot. They become distracted more easily. And they are unable to sort of lock in when they really need to. So do your best to avoid that. Don't make those mistakes, and make sure that you get your breaks. So to briefly sum up this episode, just make sure that you use whatever you can to help you manage your schedule, whether it be a planner, a calendar app, a reminder app, a whiteboard, whatever. Find times to incorporate breaks because it'll make a world of difference in the long term. And don't be afraid to stick to a routine. It can help us, especially when things get a little bit rough. But that's it for me. I've been your host, Hemish. This has been another episode of the Earle Lab. And always remember to mind up each and every single day. All right, see you guys soon. Take care.